What if some of the oldest structures on Earth were never abandoned, not because they failed, but because they still work? Scattered across windswept plains and silent hills, stone circles stand like forgotten sentences in a language we no longer speak. Stonehenge, Callanish, Avebury. Rings of stone older than recorded history, older than our modern ideas of science, quietly waiting. The question is not what they were, but why they still seem alive. For centuries, we've been told these circles were primitive calendars, burial markers, or ceremonial meeting places. Neat explanations, comfortable explanations. And yet, people who step inside them report something else entirely: a pressure in the air, a distortion of time, a strange clarity of thought, even physical sensations that defy logic. Animals behave differently near them, compasses falter, and sensitive individuals speak of currents moving beneath their feet as if the earth itself is breathing. This video is not about folklore for entertainment's sake. It's about a deeper possibility that ancient builders understood forces we have only recently begun to measure, and others we still refuse to name. That these circles were not monuments, but instruments, not symbols, but interfaces between human consciousness and the living planet. In this journey, we'll explore why stone circles were placed where they were, what philosophies guided their construction, and why modern science struggles to fully explain their effects. We'll look at what was lost when this knowledge faded, and what might be remembered by those willing to listen. Because if these stone circles still work, the real question becomes unsettling and profound. What were they designed to awaken in us? Tell me when you're ready to go deeper. Long before history was written in ink, it was carved into land. The builders of stone circles left no alphabets behind, no signed declarations of purpose, yet they aligned massive stones with a precision that rivals modern engineering. This was not coincidence. It was cosmology made physical. Across cultures that never met Celtic Druids, Neolithic Europeans, ancient builders in Africa and Asia, the same pattern appears: circles placed on ley lines, fault lines, and underground water currents. Stones positioned to mark solstices and equinoxes, moments when the veil between worlds was believed to thin. These people did not see the earth as inert matter. They experienced it as a living intelligence. To them, stone circles were acts of communication. Philosophically, this worldview echoes what Hermetic texts, Vedic scriptures, and later mystical traditions all insisted upon: as above, so below. The human being was not separate from nature, but embedded within a vast energetic system. Stone circles mirrored this understanding. Circular forms symbolized eternity, unity, and the unbroken flow of consciousness. There was no beginning, no end, only resonance. Over time, this knowledge became dangerous. As hierarchical religions rose and centralized power hardened, anything that allowed direct access to spiritual experience outside authority had to be reframed or erased. Stone circles were labeled pagan, primitive, or demonic. Their original custodians vanished, and the wisdom they embodied fragmented into myth. Modern archaeology often treats these sites like puzzles, missing pieces, measuring stones while ignoring sensation, data while dismissing experience. What was lost was not the technique, but the perception required to understand it, a way of seeing that accepted intuition as a form of intelligence. Yet traces remain, in whispered folklore, in rituals preserved in distorted form, and in the undeniable fact that these places still affect those who enter them. Not because of belief, but because of something older than belief. The circles were never meant to explain reality. They were meant to tune you into it. To understand why stone circles still work, we have to step outside the modern idea that power only comes from machines. The ancient world operated on a different principal resonance. Just as a tuning fork causes another to vibrate without touching it, stone circles were designed to bring human consciousness into harmony with forces already present in the earth. Many of these circles sit above telluric currents, natural electromagnetic flows moving through the planet like veins through a body. Today, we measure fragments of this phenomenon with magnetometers and call it geomagnetic activity. The ancients felt it, they listened to it, and they built with it. Stone, especially granite and basalt, contains quartz and other minerals that respond to pressure and vibration. When wind moves through a circle, when footsteps disturb the ground, when the earth itself shifts, the stones subtly interact with these currents. Think of the circle as an amplifier. The shape itself is critical. In nature, circles form where energy seeks balance, eddies in water, halos around the sun, the orbit of planets. A circle traps nothing, yet focuses everything. Standing within one places you at a center point, not of the stones but of yourself. Ancient initiations often began here, not with instruction, but with silence. The initiate was not taught. They were attuned. Stories speak of druids awakening the stones with sound chanting, drumming, even sustained tones. Sound was the key that activated the structure. This aligns with modern studies, showing that low-frequency vibrations affect brainwaves, pushing the mind toward meditative or visionary states. Inside a stone circle, the earth becomes part of the ritual. But this is where the mystery deepens. Not everyone feels the same effect. Some experience nothing. Others report visions, emotional release, or a sense of profound alignment. This suggests the circles were never passive tools. They respond to the participant. The stones do not give power. They reveal what is already present. And perhaps that is why the full explanation was never written down. It couldn't be explained. It had to be experienced. Here is where the story becomes uncomfortable for modern thinking. If stone circles still work, then they challenge the assumption that ancient people were merely observing nature. They were collaborating with it, and that implies intention, perhaps even intelligence within the land itself. One common misconception is that stone circles were built solely for astronomical observation. Yes, many align with celestial events, but alignment is only the surface layer. The deeper function was synchronization. When the sun reached its extreme points, solstices and equinoxes, solar radiation, geomagnetic activity, and human biology subtly shift. Ancient builders timed rituals to these moments, not as celebrations, but as calibrations. The human nervous system was being tuned alongside the planet. Another myth is that these sites lost their power once their cultures disappeared. Yet countless visitors report heightened sensitivity, vivid dreams, or emotional release long after leaving these places. This suggests the circles are not powered by belief or ritual continuity. They are anchored to something constant, Earth systems that still operate beneath modern infrastructure. Some researchers quietly note anomalies, unusual acoustic properties, changes in heart rate variability, altered electromagnetic readings. None of this proves mystical claims, but it does undermine the idea that nothing is happening. Then there is the paradox of abandonment. If these structures were so powerful, why stop building them? The answer may be social, not technical. Stone circles encourage internal authority, direct experience, without intermediaries. Over time, societies shifted toward systems that externalized power: kings, temples, doctrines. The circle, by design, has no throne. What remains most unsettling is this: stone circles do not impose meaning. They amplify awareness. In a world built on distraction, that alone is destabilizing. Heightened awareness reveals inner conflict, buried emotion, and uncomfortable truth. Not everyone wants that. So perhaps the question isn't whether stone circles still work. It's whether we are still willing to work with them. And that brings us to the most practical and personal part of this journey. If stone circles were built to harmonize consciousness with the earth, then the obvious question arises: can we interact with them today in a meaningful way? The answer is yes, but only with intention, presence, and respect. These are not tourist attractions. They are laboratories of awareness, waiting for those willing to engage fully. One simple practice begins with stillness. Stand at the center of a circle and close your eyes. Breathe slowly, letting your awareness extend outward to the stones and downward into the ground beneath your feet. Imagine drawing subtle currents up through the soles of your feet, circulating through your body, and merging with the energy of the circle. Even a few minutes can create a palpable sense of balance, as if your nervous system itself is tuning to a deeper rhythm. Sound is another tool. A low chant, humming, or sustained vowel tone can awaken resonance within both the stones and your own body. Keep it gentle. The goal is alignment, not spectacle. Some report visions, others a profound emotional release, but all experience heightened presence, a clarity rarely found in daily life. If visiting a stone circle is impossible, similar effects can be cultivated through intentional circular arrangements in your home or garden. Even a simple ring of crystals, stones, or candles, combined with focused breath and sound, can echo the principle of resonance. The key is conscious participation. Energy responds to awareness. Finally, patience is essential. The effects are subtle, cumulative, and deeply personal. For those who persist, the practice can sharpen intuition, calm internal chaos, and illuminate patterns that were previously invisible. The stone circle, in essence, is a mirror of consciousness. The more aligned you are, the more its hidden workings reveal themselves. These are not gimmicks. They are invitations to remember a way of interacting with the world that predates written history, an ancient dialogue between mind, body, and the living earth. When you're ready, I'll write the conclusion to seal the video with a powerful, lingering impact. Stone circles are not relics of the past. They are living reminders that the earth is conscious, that our minds are intertwined with its rhythms, and that awareness itself can be a form of resonance. Across millennia, these rings of stone have quietly persisted, defying explanation, not as monuments to a vanished people, but as gateways to experience what words can scarcely capture. We've explored their history, their hidden purposes, and the subtle ways they continue to influence those who enter them. We've seen that their power is not magical in the way we often imagine, but neither is it trivial. It is a power of alignment, perception, and intimate connection with forces that have always surrounded us. To stand within a circle is to step into a dialogue older than cities, older than kingdoms, older than memory itself. Perhaps the greatest mystery is that they do not demand belief. They respond to presence. They reveal not what you want to see, but what you need to confront. In that silence, in that stillness, the stone circles remind us of a question that resonates through time. How deeply are you willing to remember who you truly are? If this journey awakened your curiosity, take the next step. Visit a circle, study its patterns, or simply reflect on its meaning. Share your experience, engage with others, and allow yourself to perceive what has long been hidden. The stones are waiting, and the only limit is your willingness to listen. The question remains, will you step into the circle, or will its secrets remain just stones beneath your feet? If you want, I can now craft a full cinematic voiceover version of this script, with pacing, pauses, and suggested visuals to make it fully ready for production. It would read like a professional documentary narration. Do you want me to do that next?